The story of Jericho, particularly the famous tale of the walls falling after the Israelites' seven-day march, is one of the most well-known stories from the Bible, specifically from the book of Joshua. However, this event is not just a matter of faith or legend. It has also intrigued historians, archaeologists, and scholars. The narrative of Jericho offers a powerful reflection of faith, perseverance, and divine intervention. But it also holds many layers when we delve into the historical and archaeological context. The biblical story of Jericho. According to the book of Joshua, Joshua 6, after the Israelites had wandered in the desert for 40 years, they crossed into the promised land under the leadership of Joshua. The city of Jericho was one of the first major obstacles standing in their way. The walls of Jericho were described as thick and imposing, designed to defend the city against attackers. God instructed Joshua to have the Israelites march around the city's walls once a day for 6 days, with 7 priests carrying ram's horns before the Ark of the Covenant. On the 7th day, they were to march around the walls 7 times, and then, upon hearing the long blast of the trumpets, the people were to shout loudly. At that moment, the walls of Jericho would collapse, allowing the Israelites to enter and conquer the city. When the Israelites followed God's instructions, the walls did indeed fall down, and they successfully took the city, which marked a significant victory in their conquest of Canaan. The archaeological and historical perspective. While the story is well known from a religious perspective, it has also been a subject of archaeological debate. Jericho, located in modern-day Palestine, is one of the oldest inhabited cities in the world, with evidence of settlement dating back thousands of years. Archaeological excavations, particularly those led by Kathleen Kenyon in the 1950s, revealed that Jericho was indeed a fortified city with walls. However, the archaeological findings have led to some questions about the timing of the destruction of Jericho in relation to the biblical narrative. Kenyon's work suggested that the city's walls fell around 1400 BCE, but the evidence didn't line up with the exact timing suggested in the biblical account, which places the conquest of Jericho shortly after the Israelites' exodus from Egypt. Despite these discrepancies, some scholars argue that the biblical account may have been based on real events, albeit possibly written with theological or symbolic intent, rather than as a precise historical record. The collapse of the walls is often interpreted as a miraculous event, which reflects the divine intervention and power of God working through the Israelites. The symbolism of Jericho's walls. Beyond the literal account of the walls falling, the story of Jericho holds deep symbolic significance for believers. The walls of Jericho are often seen as a metaphor for the barriers in life, obstacles that seem insurmountable but can be overcome through faith, obedience, and perseverance. The 7-day march and the number 7 itself are symbolic in many ways. 7 is often considered a number of divine completion in the Bible. The 7 days of creation, the 7 seals, the 7 trumpets, and other occurrences of this number throughout Scripture all speak to a sense of divine perfection, completion, and intervention. The takeaway. The story of Jericho invites us to reflect on the relationship between faith and action. Just as the Israelites had to take the first step by marching around the walls, we are called to trust and follow divine guidance even when the path seems unclear. The miraculous collapse of the walls demonstrates that no obstacle is too great when we align our efforts with God's will. Whether viewed as a historical event, a religious allegory, or a deeply symbolic story, the fall of Jericho's walls continues to inspire people across generations, reminding us that faith, perseverance, and trust can bring down even the most formidable barriers in our lives.